Hello, beautiful people.
Let's start with the supplies you're going to need. You're going to need a piece of white paper, and you're going to do it landscape style. It should be landscape style on your desk, meaning wider and shorter. You're also going to need a pencil and an eraser. I like to just use my pencil eraser, but if it's not very good, you might need a different eraser. And that's it. That's all we're going to start with. Okay, let's begin. You're going to start by picking a location for your horse's head. And it really doesn't matter which way you face your horse, but I'm going to do it on the right side. And you're going to start with a circle. Now, if you don't know how to make a very good circle, that's why I like to make circles very lightly with my pencil over and over and over again. And eventually, you kind of get a shape that's circular, kind of like that. It's not perfect, but who needs perfection, right? You also want to make sure it's towards the top of your paper, and since my head is going to be on the right, I want to leave enough room on the left to make the body of my horse and enough room underneath to make the rest of my body as well. So this would be a great spot to put it, and that's where I'm going to start. Okay, I'm going to have my horse facing the left, or the right side, sorry. So that means this is the main portion of my horse's head. But if you'll notice, a horse's head is kind of longer. So we need to make the snout, which means I need a smaller circle. So I don't want to put it too far away. In fact, that might be a little too far. Okay, that's why I have an eraser, why I'm drawing very lightly. And see how it's smaller? So when I connect the top of this circle and the bottom of this circle with that one, then you've got kind of the shape of a horse's head. You could go through if you want to erase those extra lines so you only have one circle here. You can do that for both things. Okay, now we've got the shape of our horse's head. Okay, to make it look more defined, I'm going to extend this. I'm going to kind of curve it into a triangle. Kind of like that, just to get the general shape. Now I don't want pointed edges, so I need to fix that. There you go. So you see how it's more of a triangle looking shape? Still not exactly, but it's not so circular. That's going to help us get that jaw line. Okay, the next part, I'm going to make the body of the horse. So I need to decide how exactly I want my horse to be facing. So I'm going to put a little dot in the center, and then the line I draw is just kind of be what the neck looks like. So maybe I'll make it out here. I don't want to make it too long, and I'm not going to start my circle down here because that would be a really long neck. I'm going to actually start my circle in the middle, or I'm sorry, around where I stopped my neck, kind of like how this one looks with a dot in the center and then another circle. And I'm going to make a bigger circle. Now this should be bigger than both of these circles, but not too big. Remember how to make a circle? You just kind of get your hand moving in that direction until you get something that looks kind of like a circle. You can always erase and fix it later. Now I'm going to have the neck connecting, so I'm going to start at the top of that little triangle, and I'm going to bring it down. You'll notice mine's floating a little bit, so I might want to go back and fix that. But for now, let me do the bottom part of the neck. I'm going to go where these two, the circle touches that line that goes across down here. And it's gonna kind of curve a little bit, and then it's gonna end up on the right side of that circle, so just like that. So now if I wanna make this bigger, in fact, I might go a little bit more out, there you go, and that'll help me make my circle a little bit bigger, just like that. Now you can see the neck's kind of reaching forward, and the horse is ready to go. So now I'm going to take the neck, and it's going to go back into the butt so we can get the bottom of our horse. So I'm just going to get that little shape. It's gonna dip down just a little bit and then it's gonna go up a little. You'll notice, again, I'm drawing very lightly. I'm not trying to make it huge. To measure the distance to see how far I need to make this circle from my bottom circle, I'm gonna look at half of the size of this circle. So it's about this big, and that's how I'm gonna space it out. So I want my other circle to be about the same size, but the right side of it is gonna hit here, just like that. So it's not gonna be perfect. There you go. Now you can see the two circles, and now I can more easily connect the top part of my horse. Now, do you see all these messy lines? It's okay. That's why we're doing it lightly, and that's why we have erasers, so we can go back later and fix it when we need to. For now, make it look messy. Nobody cares. It's gonna help you figure out what shapes you like, what shapes you don't like, what needs to be fixed, and all that fun stuff. Okay, so to finish off this bottom part, you're not just gonna connect straight like we did with the face. What you actually wanna do is it needs to curve with it, and then you're actually gonna go from the bottom of this circle towards the back part of this, his booty. Kind of where like the tail would start to come out of. So do you see how this line curves up? We don't want it to be straight though, we want it to curve. So you kind of want to keep following your circle for the front. Then this is where you're going to want to start curving it up. And just keep going. You could stop about there. You don't want to go all the way through the circle, but that way you don't have a straight connection. And if it looks a little too skinny for you, you can always go back through, make it a little bit thicker. There you go. To get that nice curving action that you can see. Okay, we're starting to get the shape of our horse. Okay, now let's work on the legs. So I'm gonna take the center of this circle and I'm gonna draw a line kind of in the middle of it. And I actually want to copy that size down here, so about here. Doesn't need to be perfect, as I said before, but there's my line. And about halfway through, I'm gonna put a circle for one of my joints. Now this circle should be smaller than all my other ones. And then at the end of this line, I'm gonna put another circle. So there I have the start of my leg. Now this is, the top half of the leg is definitely a lot more muscular. So we're gonna start kind of where the leg curves in, where our, towards the neck. And we're gonna make it go to the side of this circle. Okay. And then it's gonna come down, because it's a lot skinnier down here, kind of straight to it. And then it's gonna curve out a little bit. And we'll get back to that bottom part in just a second. In the back, we're gonna do a similar type of thing. Start at about where it starts curving. We're gonna make it to the side. So kind of like we just made like a giant triangle. Okay. And then again, attach to here. Now this time we're gonna follow the curve. There's a bone there. Put a little bit of a blurb. I know it's kind of hard to see. And then I'm just gonna make a triangle shape in order to make that little hoof maybe a little bit bigger. Okay, that's all we're doing for now. You can see it. And we'll go back in with some details in just a second. Okay, so let's clean it up a little. So we're going to maybe darken it just a little bit, maybe curve around that joint. And I think I made it a little too wide. So we're gonna cut that part off a little bit. Don't need that. And then this one I made way too wide, so this one's gonna go a little further straight up. That's better. And then there's a little elbow joint here. Like I said, that's why we are using a pencil with an eraser, so we can always go back and fix those things that we need to fix. Okay, looking much better now. I'm thinking this line is just a little thinner. Yeah. Let's move to the back legs. Now this is gonna be hard, but you can do it, I promise. We're gonna take it step at a time. So the back legs are different than the front legs. They don't quite have the same shape. They've got hips, just like we do. So we're gonna start by looking at those hips. So I'm gonna draw that line in the center again, but this time the hips are gonna start up here. So I'm just gonna draw a little circle just to help me represent, okay, that's the hip bone. I need to remember that, okay? And then their legs usually are bent backwards a little bit more, and what I mean by that is it's not gonna go straight down. It's actually gonna go more of a diagonal shape to about here. And this is where they have that first bend. I know it's kind of weird, but bear with me, okay? And then they kind of bend back a little bit. The shape might take a little bit more of the form of what you're thinking with a back leg for a horse. Sorry, I'm fixing this line because I think I bent it back just a teeny bit much. There you go, I'm gonna put my circle there. Nope. Needs to be in the center. There you go. That bend looks better. Okay. I'm not gonna go too far back because it just needs to be like the same as this one. Same halfway distance. I can use my fingers if I need to. Okay, I should have a shape about here. And then the same thing at the bottom. Should have a shape about here. Can connect it with my straight-ish line. There you go. I know it looks a little weird, but I promise we are gonna work through it. Okay, I am gonna have this lowered down a bit. I think it might be a little too high. Maybe about here. There you go. And just keep practicing. If you need to go back and fix it, go back and fix it. That's okay. I did notice one thing here I'm gonna fix. The arm makes that little shoulder, but then it comes out like that. And then this goes forward. I'm gonna make my belly a little bit. There you go. That looks better. Okay, now we can start to see the horse taking shape. I'm just gonna go through real fast before I finish that leg and fix some of these top lines that I want to be darkened. So I think when I hit this bump, I am gonna make that little bump shape that a horse has. I don't want to go too low into my curve, but I am gonna darken it and follow it. There we go. And then gotta give my horse a booty. Doesn't have to be a perfect booty. In fact, most of the time it's not perfectly circular. It's kind of got a weird point to it because of those hips. Okay, that's starting to look better. Back to the leg. The first thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna start by adding this type of shape down here. So I'm just gonna start in this middle point. Remember, it's skinnier, just like on this side. So I'm just gonna connect it, that line, kind of straightish. This part's gonna bend around it like this side. And then it's going to make that little shape there. I don't want to go too far, and then I want it to be flat again. And then this part is just gonna go forward. Again, we're kind of making that triangle shape like you saw over here. Okay, now let's move on with the other part of the leg. This one is going to start going towards this middle point right here. But you don't want it to be straight, you want it to be a little more curved. So gotta give it that curve that we're looking for. And then once you hit that middle point, you kind of want it in between these two lines, so somewhere about there. and you're gonna have it curve up a little, probably to about there. We can go back and fix that if we need to, but let's move on to this one. Let's curve around this circle, kind of like what we did here. Now you're gonna start heading towards this end. You're not gonna make that straight line exactly, but you can do it if you need a little bit of help. What you're gonna do is you're gonna curve towards it, and actually needs to start getting wider. So about at this halfway point from this side of the circle to this side of the circle, you're gonna curve it towards the bottom of the horse. And what I mean is it needs to start curving here. So this is where it gets real thick. And then there you can see your booty of your horse forming. Look at that. You can always fix it if you don't think it looks right, but I think we're getting about the right shape. Go back and fix things that I think need to be fixed. Thinking maybe this one needs to be slightly bigger to match the size of that one. Yeah, I might have made my circles a little too big over here. Okay, just, there we go. Okay, now we need to start doing the back legs. And let's start with the back one. So here we go. We don't want to picture the same exact thing, but just like this side's gonna have the little connection circle right there as well. And then let's put the next joint about here. So see how this one had that joint and then that joint? This one's gonna have this joint and then this joint. So we're kind of mirroring them. And now we need to make that last one, which I'm gonna have come forward a little bit, kind of diagonally. Try and get the same width if you can. It's not gonna be perfect, like I said before. And then we'll draw our last circle. Now let's get that shape of the leg in there. First thing I need to do is finish the underbelly. So you'll notice, see how we stopped here at this circle? Then we're gonna flatten out here. There you go. Now I can start making the other leg. So we need this one, just like this one did, to curve up and around. So we're gonna do the same thing over here. Start at the right side of this circle, and it's gonna curve up like it's going towards the edge of this one. The bottom circle, or the back circle if you want to call it that. And then of course, just like how this one started going towards this but then curved to the butt, we're going to do the same thing. It's going towards this circle and now it's going to curve to the butt. Boop. Just like that. We can always fix it if we need to. Okay, now we need to connect it to this one. And lastly, we need our hoof. This one's gonna be a little different. So it's actually gonna curve around. And just like what we did back here, we always curve to the bottom of the circle and then it goes out into a triangle. We're gonna do the same thing, but our triangle this time is actually gonna be tilted, kind of like that a little bit. And we'll go back through and fix that. But there you go. We've got our weird looking triangle. Gonna go through and fix some of these real fast. Just trying to help picture what it looks like. It's gonna curve around. Okay. Okay, I wanted to start with the back because it's harder. So now let's go to the front. We're just gonna do like a mirror image, almost like, well, not a mirror image, like almost like a shadow. Like when you're standing next to your friend and you can't see all of their other leg because it's partially hidden, we're gonna do the same thing with the horse. So you're gonna start on the left side of where it starts, and you're just gonna mirror this portion of it. When it gets to about here, You're gonna pretend like that part is hidden now, and now you can see the front part. Now, one thing you need to be careful is because this leg is closer to you than the other leg, they aren't going to be standing on the same ground. You're actually gonna have this one standing about here. So when you go to copy this, make sure that you bring your triangle shape up a little bit more, kind of like that. And now you can see. Now you might want to go back and fix a couple of those things back here. And actually this needs to curve in a little before it makes that awkward. There we go, that's better. And then I'm gonna do the same to this one. It's gonna curve in a little bit. I'm always fixing my legs. They never seem good enough, but I promise we're just gonna say they're good, and you can go back to fixing it later because we can't spend forever on these legs, and I'm sure they look perfectly fine. Okay,